Israel, and the only one that came back was USA. Do you know why the rest of the countries did not come back? I can guess.
It's a good question. I don't think you always get the formal answer. But we talked with many investors that pulled out of companies that we invested. And they said, we love the company. We think it's a great solution. We love Israeli founders. But at the climate that we have today in Europe or Asia, I cannot bring to my investment committee an Israeli startup. And we hope to come later. So I think the political climate is hitting Israel in many levels, and it's hitting us on our investments. I believe that greed will kick in eventually. In a year or two they will come back, because they will understand that they're missing on a great investment opportunity. But it will take time. And whoever comes during this year or next year, I think will enjoy the situation where European, Emirati, Asian investors are not coming in. The US is more pro-Israeli, and I think it is less affected. We see a lot of investors now coming through defense tech, which is really booming, and they understand everyone is increasing their defense tech budgets now in the US and Europe, and they see Israel as the source of this. Cyber is, of course, there for many years, AI, and so on. I don't know if I answered the question, but I think it's more of a sentiment that is moving them away for the time being.
BDS or...
Yes, yeah. Anti-Israel, anti-Semitism. You all know, as Israelis, as Jews, we are suffering. A lot of issues here, a lot of boycotting. Universities in the US that used to invest from their endowment are not investing anymore in Israel because of BDS. It's changing, but slowly.
Thank you.
All right.
Please go ahead.
You have here 24 different companies in your portfolio. Why these 24? Because there are, I don't know, 100 or 20 or 1,000 startups in Israel that started that. How do you decide which ones can be a good investment and that they have future on that? How do you decide it?
That's the big challenge. Being a venture capital, that is the art of selecting them. We put a lot of due diligence to these companies. We have a lot of partners that are specialists that help us. We have a rule when we invest. We call it the 3 to 7 rule. We are looking at companies that we have strong belief that will exit, so they will be acquired or IPO within 3 to 7 years. So like Nurami. Nurami, we know that Johnson & Johnson most probably we're going to buy them in the next 2 or 3 years. So we're looking for these companies where you see high probability of exit. We are willing to compromise in multipliers, so we're a bit more conservative. So the 3 to 7 rule, we say 3 to 7 years and 3 to 7 or 3 to 10 multiplier. So, don't know if you heard, but an Israeli company called Wiz was acquired by Google for $32 billion. That's amazing. We think it's hard for us to find the next Wiz. So we're going in a more conservative investment thesis where we see more or less who's the acquirer and we compromise a bit on multipliers. But it's a long process and it's built with a lot of people that support us and a lot of network and understanding. The 3 general partners, we have almost 100 years together of experience, so we really know this market well.
And what do you think is going to be the next trend in this technology? What is going to happen in the world with these trends? Which one do you think is the trends in technology?
Where technology is going, so we're going through probably the largest revolution that humanity has went through, which is artificial intelligence. Now, AI, there's not a company that we have that doesn't deploy AI in some way. It makes it very hard to decide where to invest because AI is changing so much. There's markets that were very good that AI is now killing them. applicable anymore. So we're always looking about how AI will impact the market, and would it be in the benefit of that company that we're looking more or less. So AI is big. Defense tech is very strong, and as I said, more and more budgets are going there, and Europe finally understands that they need to budget their own military, and homeland security in general is a strong trend.
I have a question. We have some young people who might be future entrepreneurs. And I was wondering, kind of connected to what Isaac said, when a young entrepreneur comes to you and makes a presentation, what would you like to hear from them? So you say, oh, this is a company that we want to invest in, or this is an idea that we want to invest in.
So it's a good question, and I would say our experience is the most important factor is the entrepreneur or the team. Because sometimes they come with a good idea, but we know the reality. Sometimes a startup starts with some idea, and half a year later they change a little bit. If you have the right team that is resilience and persistence and understands to read the market and can adapt, that is very, very important. So the team themselves is important. As I said, we invest in Israeli-related companies because it's easier for us to evaluate them. So we know the network, we know people that they know, we know where they serve in the army, so it's very easy for us when we come at our portfolio companies to look at these teams. But I would always say you need to try to find a real problem as an entrepreneur, which is big enough, and be very determined to solve it. And there will be so many issues that will deter you in the way and tell you it's not happen. You have to believe in yourself and continue and pursue it. That I think really is the spirit of an entrepreneur.
¿Alguna otra pregunta para aquí?
I cannot admire more like what Israel have achieved and be Zionist in a humanistic way. And I live in Barcelona now. I face like constantly the hypocrisy of Europeans, Spanish people who really don't understand well the history and many aspects. And what I'm going to ask you is like if like temporary hiding or masking, putting a mask in the source of these startups to make them grow without people knowing or investors knowing that they come from Israel for practical purposes. I mean, it's sad to think about hiding Israeli identity because it's for sure a proud thing to be. But have you had reflection so far on just like for practical purposes, like masking this identity or these sorts of startups just to make them grow, and eventually when they are so big that I don't know, like return them their identity to the main creators, which are you know what I mean? Like
yeah, I fully understand, and the reality is the answer is yes. But I want to kind of make a difference a little bit. There are companies that are called B2C that are selling to the consumer, and there's companies that are B2B that are selling business to business. We see a significant challenge with B2C because the consumer is very negative to Israel these days. So if you're selling to consumer, the mass consumer in many places like Barcelona, but others as well, is not favorable of Israel, and there's a lot of boycotting. And that is a real challenge to these companies, and unfortunately I see these companies trying to downplay their Israeli identity. In business to business, we see less of it, although we do see some challenges. Airways is deployed in the port of Rotterdam. The main purchaser is a former Palestinian there. It's challenging there, and they're downplaying this. We are business people, so we're trying to be pragmatic. So we are very proud of Israel, but wherever we need to be pragmatic. By the way, as Israelis, we're quite accustomed to this because we've been selling to countries that had no political affiliation to Israel, Indonesia, Malaysia, and we used to work with having this masking without it. I hope it will change, but we're in a period that unfortunately you need to have more of this masking. But I always have, one of the companies I didn't mention here, it's a very exciting company. It's a company that takes, human cells, multiplies them, and builds organs for transplant. So the first product, they take a human cornea, and from each human cornea they can make 400 corneas. Today, for every cornea transplant, there's 70 people that don't get it. 3 weeks ago in Rambam, in the north of Israel, they had their first in human successful transplant. So this allows people to see again. The next product is going to be retina. And I say, if the BDS wants to stay blind, don't use their solution. It's okay. Whoever wants to continue and see, they can continue to use. So Israel has so much innovation in every Mac, in every iPhone, in so many places. So if the people that are trying to boycott Israel, it's pretty tough because the level of innovation is so hard. But to your question, the pragmatic approach is that in some cases we are masking Israel. Iron Nation is a fund, by the way, is not. So if you go to our website, you can't miss it, that we're Israeli, an Israeli flag. And I think we're also, more targeting people that are supporters of Israel.
Yeah, because it's a shame to have to hide the Israel identity because we really don't need to, and we are aware of that now. But like realistically, having a population of 15 million people and people around the world who might be Zionist, it's a minority, sadly, nowadays. So, as you said, from a pragmatic approach and from a numbers approach in business, it's tough, not something unachievable, because I know that we will do this and more. But I don't know, I see this challenge as, in terms of numbers, not something that cannot be achieved, but like for pragmatic purposes, not to.
But I do want to add here something. So Israel went through very tough 2 years, and we definitely have a PR issue around the world. It cannot be ignored. But I think one of the ways to show the world, the benefit that Israel brings to the world is through technology. Through technology in life science, through technology in agriculture. So I think it's important. I also think it's important for young Jewish people to understand the level of innovation that is coming from Israel and maybe provide them some pride as well. We also bring some of our investors' children to do internships in our companies in Israel. So we're trying to build these bi-directional bonds and more manifestate and show what the Israeli technology is bringing to humanity in general. So I think it's one of the ways that we are doing, I would say, soft diplomacy in a way. It's not our main goal, but by doing business and showing the innovation of Israel, I think it helps the brand of Israel as well.
The level of brainwashing in Europe I'm seeing, it's hard to even see. I don't see these people seeing the value of Israel technology because they are so, with so much venom inside, really. It talks more about themselves than ourselves, but it's a truth I'm seeing every day. And I think this approach is very good, but it's like another approach, like to see the value of technology in philanthropy and in the human part. But we can see that anti-Semitism is a big struggle nowadays. Maybe in Mexico I don't see it so deep in society, but in Spain it's really inside people, like very, very deep, that it's concerning, So I don't know, I have this doubt that these people might change their mind because they are with so much venom inside. It's at the end, it's bad. They lose because they say in Spain, boycott Israel. Israel can boycott much more Spain than what Spain can boycott Israel for sure. That's no question. But in terms of numbers of people, since we are a minority and we have been a non-proselytist communities. It's I see this challenge, which I tell you, I think it can be overcome for sure, but for numbers and pragmatic approach, I don't want to like miss what the purpose of the project, because I think it's amazing, and I think the essence is really amazing, and we will achieve for sure. But on the other side, like I see society so
I agree with you. First, I think you're living in Barcelona, you're probably in the forefront of it, because it's probably one of the cities that the challenge is the most. Not everywhere in the world it's that level. I'm an entrepreneur by spirit, and I have to be optimistic. So I'm always optimistic that things will change. We're definitely at one of the lower points, but I've been doing a lot of business in the past in Barcelona and with Catalan people. Definitely this venom came out now. And you could say it was maybe always there, but it was much easier doing in the past, and I hope it will come back again. And I think even in Spain, you know, it's not that everyone is pro-Palestinian. There's a right, there's people that, and I think Europe will understand soon that, you know, the problem they have is not with Israel, it's much more with what's happening with the Muslims in Europe. And we're maybe in the forefront, but it's coming to their backyard very, very fast.
Yeah, so we have time for one more question if anybody wants to.
For next year, who will be better, Naftali Bennett or Netanyahu?
I don't know if it's a political question, if he can help us too much with political, other than his personal opinion, if he wants to, because the vote is secret. So other than his personal opinion, if he wants to say, but it's up to you.
So first I want to say something, we're bipartisan. So we have people in the fund from the right side and from the left side, and Democrats and Republicans. We have enough challenges, I think, as Jews and supporters of Israel, we need to find the commonality and not the difference. But if you want my private, I'm happy to share it later on.
Okay. Well, thank you, Gil. I want to thank everybody. Muchas gracias. Todo un gran aplauso, por favor, para